Hello, my name is Michael Berger, and I have an associate's degree in mechanical engineering and a bachelor's degree in digital science. I have a certificate in AutoCAD and cybersecurity. I work as a student IT assistant at the University of Akron, a math tutor at Stark State College, SMT operator at Airborne Electronics, and as a student team leader at Kent State University in the Federated Desktop Support Department.
And my name is Gregory Hess. I have a bachelor's degree in digital sciences from Kent State University. I have a Test-Out Security Pro certification, as well as numerous certifications through LinkedIn courses. I've held numerous IT positions in end-user support across Kent State, Beechwood Systems, and Northeast Ohio, and in my local area, in local town of Northeast Ohio, as I reside. And I'm en route to a rotational in Brooklyn, Ohio, this coming summer. As of February of 2023, I reside at a business analyst position in my current company in a bank in the Ohio area.
Hello, guys. Welcome to the Health Awareness Podcast, and today we're doing our podcast on water. How are you doing this week, Greg? Anything fun to share?
Yeah, I got a ongoing windstorm happening outside my house. It's not a terrible storm, but it's a gale warning in effect here in Ohio. But in the meantime, I got some errands and some blood work done today, so I'll get some results that should have been found years ago. So, just you being ever more watchful of things, which is the theme of the Health Awareness Podcast here. How about you, Mike?
Doing pretty good. I got some good reviews at work this week, helping a lot of people out. And just trying to stay well rested after it's just been a busy week, a lot of projects going on. But speaking of having a lot to do, we have a lot of stuff to talk about during the podcast today. So let's dive right into it.
Yeah, and much like other materials you dive into, our topic today is water and why it's important, which it should be rudimentary. It sounds rudimentary, but it is still a very important aspect of things. As me and Mike are in our 20s, and we have like this agency of how some of us guys in our 20s, even us
20s, 30s. Well, it doesn't matter what age you are. You can benefit from water at any time. And I think a lot of us neglect it. Like we go our day to day without really drinking enough water, I think, a lot of the time. And maybe some of us are drinking too much. Who knows? And I think it's all about finding that balance.
Right, which we'll get into the balance talk later, but in the general nature of things, water is very important as it doesn't just help with just being dehydrated for those really hot days where people pretend to care about water more when it's summer.
And being hydrated, yeah. It's especially important to stay hydrated on those days because you lose a lot of water through your skin from sweating.
Yeah. And I learned this also. You can actually lose hydration and water from just getting cuts on your skin.
Well, yeah, if you think about it, your blood has a lot of that's a lot of what your blood is. It's water. So I think they said 2/3. One of the YouTube we have today was saying 2/3 of the water is stored in your cells, and then like 1/3 of it's stored outside of the cells. So if you think about it, I'm sure that at least a good portion of that water is in your blood. So if you cut yourself and bleed, that you're losing water that way. If you sweat, you lose water that way. If you cry, if you're exercising a lot, if you're eating certain foods, you can lose water from that. And it's all about balance, right?
Yeah, and we have people from the likes of Dr. Mike, as well as extensive systems that you can put in your house to help get the right amount of, let's say, water truths, if that makes sense at all. I don't know if that's a phrase, but like truths to water that we can find here on today's episode, as well as different types of thirst, which I'll just cover briefly here, as there's extracellular thirst and intracellular thirst, which the former is regarded for the decreased volume of water, which is actual, like, I feel dehydrated because either it's summer or I haven't drank water for like all morning and I need water. That's extracellular thirst. Intracellular thirst, which is the other type, is more so generated by increased what's called osmolyte concentration, which is more so lack of fluids or like the lack of concentration of certain osmolytes, such as sodium and potassium in your cells, which again can be befall from getting cuts in your body from like, activities such as, I don't know, hiking, as well as just scratching yourself and just forgetting about it, as well as amongst other things in nature and activity and behaviors, of course. As well as keeping yourself osmoregulated is another big part of why water is important. And it was detailed in this YouTube video I found about just that very topic of why drinking water is so important from the Institute of Human Anatomy, which I won't go over the whole thing here, but it's a good listen. It's about a year old, and it goes over the urinary system, which describes how we need to regulate our hydration levels, and it can be found sometimes in the simplest of places that we sometimes don't think about, such as our liquid waste. And just going off of that, like, do I need more water? Do I need less water? Am I taking too much? And should I stop drinking water for the rest of the day, etc.?
Yeah, those are all questions we need answered. Speaking of questions we need answered, Dr. Mike did a episode on YouTube, and he kind of did like a little myth busting episode where people would just fire questions at him, and he would go through and answer them. And one of them was very interesting. He went through and people were like asking about what's the difference between your seltzer water, your sparkling water, and flat water. What's best? What's
Healthiest.
What's the healthiest option? And I believe his answer has something to do along the lines with your gut health and how like water with bubbles in it can cause damage to your stomach.
Yeah, and then some with acid reflux. That kind of compounds the effect of more acid reflux and leakage,
Mhm. So,
which I know from experience.
if you don't know if you're gonna be one of those people with acid reflux, or if you have acid reflux, I know for me it comes and goes. So it's probably best to stick to your flat water. Just as a general purpose thing, but it's probably not a bad idea to have the sparkling water once in a while, as long as you know that you don't have any other anything else and that any other problems that might arise from drinking sparkling water. And I think that the other question in the video was based on is there ever a point where you can drink too much water?
Because your body, everyone's body has its limits, as the saying usually goes. And what many health experts can backtrack and say, yes, everybody has its limits. And it makes sense here with just the simple task of water absorption, as one's body can only absorb so much water, and then when it doesn't get absorbed, it goes to the waste, and you can create liquid waste from that. But extensive amounts of it, and I'm talking like too much water, like over like 3 gallons, let's say, that can turn into water weight, which is definitely not the way you want to go about water.
Right. So there are limits to everybody's body, but before you get there, you're gonna just have to pee a lot. You'll know. I mean, it'll be pretty obvious. So unless you're like doing a lot of extensive activity, just sip your water. Sip it. You'll be fine.
Yeah, and you can moderate it just based on your body type and again lifestyle, activity differences, sexual orientations also comes to play in that. Even though most data is for men and women, so I can't quote on what it's like as being identified as someone else, but as well as age, huge factor is age, especially which is differing activity, of course, coincides with age, as comparing a 65-year-old with someone like me and Mike, for instance, or even someone in high school who's like regularly into sports and gym class. Like, we still have to drink a lot of water, but me and Mike are not in gym class anymore. You know, as well as older adults that are past the age of 55 that are more sedentary than us. So, work with those differences as well as go beyond its strain definition that was made back in 1945, where the minimum back then was you should drink at least 6 glasses, which glasses isn't exactly like a point blank amount,
Very
especially with all the different cups that you can have in your
different
kitchen.
cup sizes. Yeah.
Like,
So like if anything, you'd want to go with like fluid ounces or anything. There's volumetric standards.
well, yeah, the Dr. Mike actually said don't base it on ounces itself either. When someone asked, "Oh, should I drink like a gallon a day?" Even though a gallon point blank a day is fine, because in reality, a gallon isn't that much regarding your body.
Well, Dr. Sten Ekberg, he talks about water,
Mm-hmm.
and he explains that your body reabsorbs a lot of the water that you use. So he talks about how he has a video called 10 Signs You're Not Drinking Enough Water. It's over on YouTube. You guys check it out if you get a chance. It's a really good video, and he talks about salt, how people have this fear of salt, and how it can create imbalances in our systems, and people have this fear of not drinking enough water, um, and how it can create this huge imbalance into where you have a lot of water and not enough salt. Um, and what we really need to focus on is taking care of our bodies to the point where we know that it's balanced and not just drinking a ton of water and staying away from salt because it gives us high blood pressure or whatever.
Oh
We need to
yeah,
listen to our bodies and make sure that we're getting enough of both. Um,
exactly.
and he also goes into, and he mentions in that video, um, something that's coming up next, which is RO water, which is reverse osmosis water. Um, and he talks about drinking alcohol and how that inhibits ADH, and ADH helps your kidneys reabsorb water and salt.
Yeah,
And
and
this is why when you drink alcohol the next day, you're always like really thirsty the next day because your body's not like I think he says something like 90 to 99% of the water and salt you eat and drink gets reabsorbed back in the body. So I don't know if those numbers are exact, but like a lot of it gets reabsorbed for use later. So when you drink alcohol, your kidneys have trouble reabsorbing that salt in the water.
it's because of the different composition of it all. And by ADH, we mean, of course, the antidiuretic hormone,
Yep.
which is chemical actually produced all the way up in the brain that causes the kidneys to release this less water and decreasing the amount of liquid waste or urine, with high amounts of it causing the body to produce less urine and low levels to result in more prevalent production of liquid waste or urine.
So
So,
let's jump into the reverse osmosis section.
Yeah.
So Dr. Sten
Then
Ekberg, he talks about how it can be dangerous drinking reverse osmosis water that hasn't had any minerals added back into it. Um, Mostly because it's such a strong purification process that you're literally just getting the water when your body really needs a lot of these other minerals to function. Um, but let's look at some of these systems and just kind of go through the processes that they use to purify your water and add the minerals back in, and how this helps us stay healthy, and what you can do for your own house or um, to your own water to make sure you're getting the best water possible.
rightly so. As this is more let's just say thorough and just to be honest with you, everyone here, expensive process for going through water. So I just want to make that clear before we go deep dive into this. As this is beyond the those Brita filters that you just have probably in your fridge at home, which those are less about reverse osmosis, where the process helps make sure you have pure water for that has the best taste and just less, like, next to no toxicity in it. There's no right amount of minerals in it, even though it's complicated with how that sort of process goes. We did look at a process here on a home setup for this reverse osmosis machine, which you could find on YouTube as well. Most of these links are on YouTube today, as that's where we got the information for this topic of discussion today. And what's the name of this channel again, Mike?
This is Home Performance, and this guy, he's not exactly a like a big person into health, but he's big into building homes, and the home that he's currently working on is called the 100-Year Home. Um, so it's more of a long-term home for his family, and he did his research and looked into water filtration, water softeners, reverse osmosis, like, and all the, like, so his system is very extensive. If you're just trying to get your foot in the door for um like reverse osmosis, water softeners, and stuff like that, and adding minerals back into the system, I wouldn't go this big right away, because this is a couple. I want to say a couple $1,000 system or something like that.
Oh yeah, we
Um,
don't have an outright bill receipt for how much this guy put into this project, but it's quite the project and dedication to just getting the best water for his family. Compared to
and
me,
this,
where I just go fill a water filter every 3 hours.
yeah, and this, he has a tank. I want to say probably
Multiple
about half.
tanks.
Yeah, he has multiple tanks, probably about half as tall as him. Um, that are for one of them's for water softener, and then he has some other ones that do the filtration underneath his house,
Rightly
in the
so.
basement. Yeah,
And that he brought up a lot of concerns with this process and as a whole, as it's a smart system, so it almost removes the fast set need, not fast set need, but rather the general user need to mess around with the system, besides filling up the salt tank to treat the resin that's involved in the tank and tubing, which is less to treat the water, but it's more so the salt treats the resin, which treats the water for this, what they call the regeneration process, to kind of put some minerals back into the water once it's purified, so that it goes to the calcite filter to put some minerals back into the water for the carbonated water that's in the same faucet system. Which I'm not into carbonated water myself, but it's a thorough, very thorough deep dive into a system like this.
Right.
as well as placing the differences between putting sodium chloride salt, not calcium. Excuse me, not potassium chloride salt, due
Yeah.
to
So
health risks.
funny you bring that up. That is one of the things that really made a difference between this videos and some of the other ones I looked at. Is they talk about the health benefits of using potassium chloride compared to sodium chloride. Um, so there was talk. Well, they were saying talk with your doctor first, but they were saying that for those that have high blood pressure, it might be wise for them to look into the potassium chloride compared to the sodium chloride, as that um, a lot of people believe that the sodium chloride can raise that blood pressure more than the potassium chloride would, because that's how the water softener works. Is it uses the salt to remove some of the impurities and some of the uh some, they call it hard water, to remove the hard water or soften up, yeah, the impurities that make the water hard. It softens up that water and adds removes things that add bad flavor to it.
Oh, and also the look as well.
Yeah.
As the guy compared it to how without it, sometimes when you just use regular tap water, there are still conditions, especially here in the Midwest, where faucet water looks almost like apple juice.
Oh
That's
yeah. Have you ever had that?
no, I've seen
I
it though.
Yeah, I've seen it. I haven't had it. I'm very glad that I haven't had to see it, or
It's a
haven't had
bring
to
your
taste
own
it.
bottle
Yeah, bring
situation,
your own bottle. Yeah,
of course, with that. So,
bring your own water.
but speaking of water softeners, though, like, what was this other take you found on water softeners? In one itself, where we did find a
Oh,
video that deep dive on water softeners, though, which the house system again is a very good again dedication to a nice, thorough, uh, extensive, pure water that this guy wants. But regarding the water softener solely for freshwater systems, Mike, what'd you find?
so the to elaborate on hard water is so there's hard water is basically calcium and sodium deposits,
Mm-hmm.
and so what it does is these deposits, they're in your water, then they can clog up your plumbing, they can clog up your uh they can put scale on like your shower. They can, anything that uses water, basically, it it's affected. So by using a water softener, there's these like little beads that kind of attract the hard water and kind of like cleanse it out, so that it doesn't like clog up your plumbing or any of your devices that use water. So it's just an extra layer of safety and filtration for your house, and that's something that goes with the whole house systems. That's I mean, they do have, so the bigger tanks, that's for the whole house system. They have a smaller kind of, what they don't call it a water softener. I think call it something else for the smaller systems, if I remember correctly.
I remember the house video, they have a calcite filter that sort of pretends to be a softener, but it's more about, but rather, they use the calcite filter in the home video to add minerals back. And the carbonation process as well at some point, the tubing. But regarding this, though, it is saying a lot for how to replace hard water, as you found here that we have over 85% of houses in the U.S. relying on hard water for regular activities such as cooking, cleaning, and washing ourselves. which is a statement when we kind of have to have our own systems to get the best water for ourselves. Currently in this little system of ours. But hey, why handle the big problems when we can just argue about nothing problems, right? Down in country. But enough about that though. Other like benefits we can say about water is how even something as little as adding lemon water can enhance your own body based on what our guy Dr. Ekberg brought up regarding how its ability to enhance the body energy, give it energy, sort of have a correlation with weight loss as well as appetite level. But what I found most interesting is how the lemon water had this ability to cleanse the liver through its citric acid correlation chemically, as well as improving digestion via this same compound regarding its chemical composition. Wherein, and this is my me getting technical again all of a sudden, so I'll try to make it brief. This process involves the absorption in the gut with compressing the gallbladder to release bile to enhance the acid and breakdown of protein and fat and digestion. So that's the improved digestion part, just in that part alone. As well as other processes to taking the fat soluble toxins that are in your body and rendering them harmless via the same bile effect, therefore enhancing your liver as well. Which that's just attributing to more positives there, as I usually don't think about what my digestive system's doing besides how like we mentioned earlier, acid reflux can really mess with your stomach as it does in my my genealogy, so to speak. But going back to the house setup, Mike, what would we did look at some reverse osmosis machines and systems that could be purchased.
Right, right. So, we actually have a video that we watched about the top 5 tankless reverse osmosis systems, and it's called the best tankless reverse osmosis systems of 2023. I recommend checking that out. It's on YouTube. And it says the only 5 you should consider today. We chose the top 3 just to take a quick look at here. Greg, which of these would you choose to set up in your house if we're going to choose one? They're all around the similar price between like $400 and $500.
Again, these are expensive pieces of hardware.
Right.
Not hardware, but systems rather, for filtrating your water with the RO reverse osmosis system. And I would really familiarize yourself before running out and buying something like this. Like, this isn't like an occasion like it was 3 years ago where it's like, oh, I'm gonna run and get an air fryer because it's trending. How does it work? I don't know. This is like an actual thing you need to look into.
Yes,
As
do your
someone that
research
tried to
before
buy
you
both of
purchase
these.
it.
But regarding ones I would pick the Frizz Life reverse osmosis system.
Yeah, I am on the same level with you. The Frizz Life, it seems to have the most health benefit for the price. It talks about adding minerals back in and alkalizing the water, which if you do your research on stuff like that, things that alkalize water is usually healthier.
Oh yeah, the commercial alkaline water is it's
Yeah.
like in those box bottles. You can get it like Walmart and Target.
And this one, they do it right there in your house, so you don't have to go out and buy it. So yeah, there was a lot of features to this one, and they really pushed the fact that they alkalize the water and add minerals back in. and getting that pH to that right level. Some of the other ones were pretty cool too. I really liked the water drop G3. It had like a smart faucet. It would like glow a certain color when you had to change the filters. And then the ice spring tankless RO. That one, it really pushed the idea that it was low waste, because like a lot of these they use the filters to, the way it works is they send it through multiple layer filters. So you have the first filter that you remove some of the bigger stuff, and then it just gets smaller and smaller and takes out, it focuses on different types of minerals it takes out, and then you get to the membrane, and it goes to the membrane, and it gets it to as pure as possible. I think it's a 90 to 99% purity. And in that process, you use like it takes in like two. I think this one's like 2-to-1 ratio. So for the 2 gallons you take in, you put out 1 gallon of clean water. And it really advertises the fact that it's one of the most efficient tankless reverse osmosis systems. So that's the nice thing about the ice spring tankless RO. So let me go back and talk about the prices real quick. So the reverse, or the ice spring, is the on Amazon it's $464.99. The Fizz Life is $469.99, and the Water Drop G3 is the $499.
Yeah, so again, like we iterated before, these are investments for water, but it's investments we have to take. So plan out, of course, much with anything purchase, any big purchase, for a long-term better care for yourself.
It's an investment in your health. That's a better way to say it.
Yeah, an investment towards your health, much like an investment towards later money and better health down the line. But also, not to get into money for a second, but yeah, be watchful of what can be done. As we'll talk in future episodes about food and the like, and nutrition. But nutrition sometimes has to start with what you're drinking. And it's been renowned that you shouldn't drink coffee or even juice in the morning the second you wake up, which I've personally known people that do this. Don't do it. Drinking coffee straight in the morning will just dehydrate you. Also mess up your digestive system. As some people call it, you get the runs after you get coffee. Ugh.
Yeah.
Always drink water.
Water is definitely, because you gotta rehydrate. That you've been a long time without drinking water. It's definitely a good time to rehydrate.
Especially on sleeping in days where it's like you've had 10 hours sometimes of water absorption where you're just kind of laying there doing nothing. So you wake up and it's like you have like you have the both types of thirst happening in your body at the same time, where it's like, not only am I empty, but I think on a cellular level I'm empty, where I need hydration now, like more so the dried up feeling, but also the I need water to energize feeling. So just reiterate that, as that's the point I could reiterate the most with that, is just water is important. And why is water important? We kind of gave the reasons for that here today.
Right.
So
health and safety.
Yeah, just I would never be afraid to be watchful and be careful with your health, especially regarding hydration, as there's many different facets that water can play in things. So on that note, regarding our call to action, so to speak. Like it's like we're doing a PSA.
Yeah.
They're going a call to action. This isn't a TED Talk. We're going a call to action. What's
Drink
that?
more water and stay happy and healthy.
And stay tuned for more from us as we cover more episodes here on the health awareness podcast, excuse me. Feel free to give us a like, share, and feedback. And feel free to check out our Patreon as well. Stay safe, everyone. Stay healthy. Bye.